Good morning, everyone. Ann Metcalf here in sunny Sawasan, and it is Sunday, July 26th. Beautiful day here. The birds are chirping, the sun is shining. I'm just breathing in, and I'm looking at the cherry tree and the apple trees behind me and in front of me. And behind me, the sun is just touching some of the hedge and the fig and the plum tree behind me. And we're going away for a week. And the figs they're green figs, and they are almost ripe. And I'm hopeful that the raccoons will leave us some when we come back, because they love the figs. So today, for me, it's a celebration of completing my first online teaching program. And it was called Trust Your Gut, Eat Intuitively to be that most radiant, healthy person that you could be, just to be your best. And it was an amazing journey of learning all sorts of things. And it encouraged me to live even more consciously by the food that I eat. And I'm not saying, I think I last week talked about, it doesn't matter whether you're a plant-based person or you eat animal protein. Can you choose those foods from a more conscious level? And we learned so much in our last lesson yesterday. We had a beautiful, intelligent, and kind, generous woman who is a neuroscientist. And it was her passion. She had her reasons. And her name is Caroline Emmett. And she shared with us some really simple yet profound information on our eating patterns and how especially sugars and the yummy foods affect us and the complexity of the brain. And through Caroline's study of all the neurons, the different kinds of the astrocytes and different things, she's created an exquisite line of jewelry. So if you go to her, I think she's got a website, and this is Caroline Emmett, 2 M's and 2 T's and 2 E's. And I've worn one of the pieces, and they're just, you could just feel them just working with your body. And we can do that also with our conscious living and our conscious eating and activating some of those parts of us. And I think in the awareness of that system, especially when we're eating, can make such a difference in our lives, in our health. And I've been choosing to use my pendulum and my body testing, which is what I teach in this Trust Your Gut program, with every meal. And I take my little pendulum and I use my body, my cellular knowing, that inner wisdom. Like for some it's their sixth sense. They just know to go for a particular food at a particular time, and that's fantastic because they're showing us that that is possible. And so just a little talk about how that incredible intricate system of our brain and our gut works, and then just a few little tools to help us eating more consciously every day. And last week I think I talked about the food industry and what Michael Greger was talking about in terms of their focus isn't so much on our health, Because if it was, then they wouldn't be spending the billions of dollars, one, in advertising that sugared cereal can be healthy for us, and fighting governments that want to change the guidelines on what is served in those packages, especially processed food. They wouldn't spend the money to stop governments from telling us what is healthy for us to eat, so we can make those conscious decisions ourselves. So as Caroline was explaining in the class yesterday, we have this gut brain that where the vagus nerve that comes from that place connects to the brain. And so when we eat those really yummy foods, there's a system. You get the dopamine released, and then you've got the hippocampus involved, and there's this incredible circuit. The hippocampus remembers what made us feel good with that yummy food. And so there's this circuit in the brain that keeps going, and it's going, oh, I like that feeling, and I like that yummy food, and so it remembers the environment and what it was. And so when you go back to eating it again, your brain is going, oh, I remember this food, and I remember how good it made me feel. And so sometimes it's hard for some people to break that cycle, and because it's sort of built in to us from the times when we were hunter-gatherers and we didn't have that kind of food. And when we did, it was like, okay, let's just eat all of what we can and forget the stimulus that's there that says, okay, we've had enough, stop. Because that system that tells us to stop helps us maintain that healthy body. It says, okay, we've had enough. Let's carry on to sort of activities in the day. And something that came out of that conversation we had afterwards yesterday was how when we feel pride in our accomplishments, even taking steps to watch what we're eating consciously, and if we just say, wow, I actually made that choice to either not eat or to eat something, and to eat smaller portions, and that feel good of your accomplishments actually goes into that similar system, so that your brain, the hippocampus, is putting that feel-good, pride, confident feeling into that system, so that feel-good feeling that you generated with your conscious mind and your choices can change the food eating patterns. That's what I got out of that little gem from Caroline. And so it was just a wonderful conclusion to this whole program of trusting our gut and using our innate wisdom to choose those foods that are right for each of us. We're 8 billion on this planet, and yet we're all unique. We're human beings, and yet some of our food choices are unique to our bodies. There's some basic elements that we need, and we get that from the whole fresh food, because Creator put those packages of fresh food there for us to enjoy, and to enjoy that apple or the orange or the especially the fruits and the berry fruits and the greens, the spinach or the collards and the beets and the carrots, and just enjoying the flavors. And something that we played with and talked about yesterday, and one of the tools is actually savoring the food and the flavor, and also thinking about where that food came from. It's come from the earth. So when you're chewing on that apple, and apparently up to 32 times to chew your food, one bite, to chew that little chunk of carrot or that chunk of apple until it just dissolves in your mouth, actually makes the digestion of it so much easier for the rest of your body. Because when you're chewing slowly, it's going down and then getting into your stomach, and the vagus nerve is going, okay, oh, we've got food in there, a little message up to the brain, okay, we've got some food coming in, and our whole system gets into place. And so we're chewing and thinking about the beautiful earth that it came from, the soil, the microorganisms in the soil, and just knowing it was just so nutritious. It was that beautiful seed that grew into that plant. And then we are eating it. We're eating the sunshine that fed it, and the rain that fed it to become that living essence that it is. And we're eating that living essence. And then to take that further, the farmer that grew it, and then the pickers that pulled it out of the ground, or took the mango or the apple from the tree, and the dates from the tree, and they are happily, joyfully picking that fruit, and that their joyful energy is going into that fruit. And then even the truckers that bring it, and the planes and the boats, and just thinking of all of that in a positive way to bring it to your plate, and then just enjoying that in that eating process. You might want to try it just as an experiment. And so some of the other tools I've got, one is just savoring the flavor. And when you take a bite of that strawberry or the pear, or even the beet that you might have grown yourself, or you got from a farmer's market, just savor that flavor and just let your whole body, all your 60 trillion cells, enjoy that same thing. And then to sort of kind of rethink, oh yeah, my brain, the whole process is going, and they're all just singing. So take that bite and just really enjoy it. And one of the other thing is just to put the food on smaller plates. We're so used to, in North America, eating on a 10-inch plate. I've gone to eating now with an 8-inch plate, because the brain sees that as being full. That's a full plate of food. And that you can enjoy that and be satisfied with that. And and smaller bites with that. And just so smaller bites, chewing it, and just smelling the food. If you've got those beautiful herbs and spices with your meal, just enjoy the smells as you're cooking it, and then as you're eating it. And it becomes a whole beautiful experience. And I know in a lot of countries around the world, a lot of European countries, and they take up to 2 hours or more to enjoy their food. And something else that came up in our discussion was having your big meal earlier in the day. So start at 1 or 2, and I know with our schedules it's harder, and when you go to work and you've got lunch at 12 o'clock and you only have a certain amount of time. But in that time, take it to eat those smaller dishes and just really savor that food. And it's something that I think our school system could do to look at and switch around, and allowing at least a half an hour for kids to eat their food, and then give them 20 minutes of playtime, because we used to have an hour when I was a child, and we would have our lunch and then we'd go to play. And nowadays schools, kids have got like 20 minutes tops to wolf down their food and then go and play. We need to change that around. So if you're a school teacher, I encourage you to talk to your schools and your school board. How can we change that system here in North America? Because in Canada, and I'm sure the United States, we don't give our kids enough time to chew the food, or need to teach them, because this is how they can be healthier, be more relaxed around their food and appreciate their food. So I think that's sort of my chat today about conscious eating and living consciously, because we can make those choices, and it's step by step. And as I said in my Facebook this morning, just breathe in, know that you can, take those first steps. And I'll be starting another Trust Your Gut, Eat Intuitively program, probably in a few weeks or maybe another month. And I will let you know. I'll put it on my Facebook page. And if you'd like to join me in a 6-week program where you get support. Our food industry does not support us. It dishes out the food. It says, okay, just eat it. Eat what you want. Eat all that you want, without thinking of the consequences that Michael Greger and others have talked about in how we can heal ourselves through our conscious living, our conscious eating, with support. And I can give that to you through our Facebook group and our calls and just having fun with it. So enjoy your day. Chew that food a little longer. Savor the taste and the aromas of it all. And I will catch up with you next week. Namaste and just blessings. Thank you so much.